Hey guys, Sandan Rider here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Piece 891, Believing in Time. Now, I really like this chapter, especially considering how the chapter ended with the double spread focusing on the Straw Hat crew, who really hadn't been a focus in this chapter. And then suddenly in that last double spread, they were the focus, and that's all they really needed. I was like, yo, this is going to be dope. This is going to be amazing going into the next few chapters. Now, obviously, we're all disappointed that there's gonna be a break next week, so it's gonna be 2 weeks before we actually get the conclusion to this, or a conclusion to anything really. But and I think it's gonna be about probably about 10 chapters, maybe not even that, before the Whole Cake Island whole arc actually concludes. I'm not too sure. Maybe 10 chapters. It could be slightly longer. I really don't see this going on for much longer, because Katakuri, especially after this chapter, doesn't look like he's gonna go on for much longer. We know he doesn't have as much patience as he's been shown to have, and maybe Luffy's actually starting to wear down a bit on him mentally rather than physically. So let's talk about the actual chapter though. So we have first the cover story. Leo doesn't know how to pirate. Leo is clueless on how to be a pirate, and he's too nice, like all the other dwarves of I was gonna say Dressrosa, but yeah. So he obviously doesn't know how to pirate, and they're at a city and they're rebuilding it. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. You know, that's nice to see. But let's go on to the main part, the part you guys want to talk about: Luffy versus Katakuri. So first we have Stussy telling Tamago and company that the Tomato Bako box was acquired from the Straw Hat Pirates, and I was like, okay, this is cool. They didn't actually know, it looks like anyway, that the Tomato Bako box was actually acquired from the Straw Hats as a gift, and really her telling all of them this, it will only bring repercussions, but in what sense, or repercussions even. So especially because Big News Morgans is like, he's just chilling there with them, and he's like, he's talking Stussy and all that. So this is going to be like some additional source for the Straw Hats after this arc. It's going to be like, oh yeah, they even had the forethought or the foresight really to send the Tomato Bako box before they got there, and that really caused a huge commotion. So I'm like, yeah, okay, that'll probably add to their bounties, just a little bit of sauce, you know, just some spice on the side. Yeah, so then we have Luffy versus Katakuri, the actual fight. Now, this entire scenario really was, of this chapter, was showcasing Luffy attempting to hone his Kenbun Shoku no Haki, his color of observation. Now, in fact, we're actually introduced to the Special Forces captain of the Charlotte family, Charlotte Flambe, because her subordinates are trying to like snipe Luffy and all that, and that's kind of showcasing Luffy's attempt to, you know, hone his Kenbun Shoku no Haki. But let's talk about Flambe for a second. Now, Flambe is when you cover something in spirits and set it alight in cooking. Now, this is poignant if you remember last chapter when Big Mom used that cognac attack, and I swear cognac is like a wine that you use, you pour it over food and then you set it alight, which is Flambe. Also, Flambe is the 33rd daughter of the Charlotte family and is 15 years old. Pudding is the 35th daughter of the Charlotte family and is Sanji's wife, and is probably younger, but doesn't look to be younger. Let's just keep it at that. Now, I'm not sure. Obviously, there have been times, and there are still times, where people are married to girls who are younger and things like that. So obviously, a lot of people will have an opinion on this. Me, I'm fine with it. I'm just like, well, I'm not fine with it. I'm just, this is how it is. You know, that's the way the story's been told. And in stories, loads of stories before, even in Shakespeare and things like that, you'll have stuff like this in loads of classics. So it's the way the world is. But it was hilarious hearing Flambe herself talk about Katakuri and how she's the Katakuri fan club leader and stuff, and I was like, what? But then I was also considering, was introducing Flambe really necessary? Because I get that Oda was trying to showcase Luffy utilizing his Kenbun Shoku no Haki, but since the time skip, he's really been utilizing Kenbun Shoku no Haki to evade gunfire like it was nothing. That's been easy for him. Right now, Luffy's trying to foresee further into the future than ever before and stop attacks before they even start to occur. Proactive instead of reactive. You know, he wants to be proactive instead of have that reactivity, instead of like, okay, he's fired a shot, I can dodge that. Luffy wants to stop the shot before it's even been fired, before the trigger's been pulled. So I didn't really see why Flambe was introduced, but I think it's just really to set that comedic tone to the chapter, and then to really just introduce another Charlotte family member, as well as the special command unit leader. So we see that Luffy has actually been beaten pretty severely. He's bleeding like a stuck pig, it was said. But he continues to get back up, and we see Katakuri piling on attack after attack, and he notices something is occurring in Luffy. And really, this is where Katakuri really needs to pick up the pace and be like, alright, I need to kill him now, because he's learning on the job. And Luffy's trying to dodge his attacks, but he's trying to do this via Kenbun Shoku no Haki, and this is what Katakuri notices. And Luffy obviously hasn't mastered it. He's not Rey from the new Star Wars movies where she can control the Force just because she freaking can instantaneously. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's the biggest bullshit. So that's what we refer to as an ass pull. My fairy tale crew will remember what that is. So yeah, Luffy isn't able to do it instantaneously. He's gaining little bits of knowledge, like, okay, this is how it feels. He's gaining the kinesthetic feel for it. And the scene where Katakuri prevents Luffy from getting up and attacking was awesome. And Luffy's frustration was warranted. An interesting tidbit though, attacks have willpower behind them. This is what we find out in this chapter. Attacks have willpower behind them, duh, and they have an aura to them, duh, because this is what Kenbun Shoku no Haki is, and this is what Busto Shoku no Haki is. But there's two people on Reddit, both in the same thread actually, called Kirosh and Kuroka Kisho on Reddit with an awesome point. They make an awesome point here. Now first, Kirosh says, he notices that the color of conquerors, so Hao Shoku no Haki, affects willpower, which is what coats the attack when you're using Busto Shoku, and is what's observed in Kenbun Shoku. So for a Hao Shoku Haki user, the other forms of Haki could be easier to utilize, which I think is a decent conclusion to make. However, that's not the one I'd go for. The sounder conclusion would be that those with Hao Shoku no Haki can fight against other Haki users more effectively, and using their Hao Shoku no Haki to affect the willpower of others, even though stronger than them, they can affect those people and how they're utilizing their own willpower in their observation and in their coating themselves in Busto Shoku no Haki. So essentially, and that was essentially the point that Kuroka Kisho makes. It's not so much that it's easier for the person who has Hao Shoku no Haki to utilize Haki. It's more someone with Hao Shoku no Haki can affect someone else's ability to utilize Haki. And I think Kuroka Kisho's point was well done, and so was Kirosh's point. They kind of intertwined and made it a really good point. So well done, guys. Good job. That was a really well put point. And I do think that's the case. I do think someone with Hao Shoku no Haki isn't just someone who can get rid of fodder levels. It's someone who can affect strong people and can really mess up and kind of jam how they're using their Haki. So yes, Katakuri then realizes that Luffy is actually learning as he's fighting, and we see his belief in his brothers. This is really nice to see. Katakuri's kind of like the upstanding villain. He's not like, someone actually said this on Reddit as well, he's not really a villain, he's more of an antagonist. But we see his belief in his brothers and sisters in stopping the Straw Hats, waiting for them on Cacao Island, and Luffy's meant to meet up with them in like 3.5 hours or something like that. But then we also see Luffy's retort, which holds a similar value, but kind of the other way around. We see that Luffy's crew believes in him to take out Katakuri and meet up with him later. So that the parallels of Luffy and Katakuri are still going. You know, they are very, very similar, but not the same. So then we go to Sanji and company. This part of the chapter really served to tell us, as the audience, that the cake has been completed, and it also serves to raise our hope. Seeing as Beige's ship was seen approaching in the distance on the horizon, right on the last page, and we get a cool moment from Sanji showing us how motivated he is to live up to the expectations of his crew, and that was really it. We saw the people making comments about pudding being coated in a white substance and things like that, and then people were like, "Oh, pudding, is she actually younger than 15?" And I was like, I don't know, man. Who knows? She could be, but she doesn't look like she's younger than 15. I mean, Flambe looks 15. Pudding, not so much. So I'm just like, I don't really know how they've done this, but we'll see what Oda says. Maybe it was just a wrong numbering. I mean, it's been done before between Praline and another daughter. They were both the 29th or something, and then Praline became the 21st when the actual official copy of the chapter was released. So then we go to the Straw Hat crew, and I said this part of the chapter was dope. Even though this was only a double spread, it was awesome. We've got Chopper going in full monster point and willing to drown Big Mom at the expense of his own life. He's like, yeah, I'll grab her and I'll jump in the sea and we'll just get rid of each other. And Nami's obviously going to ape. And Pero is both shocked and impressed by the amount of monsters, not not just literally, but the amount of monsters on the Straw Hat crew. Nami's in desperation mode, and Jinbei's trying to figure out what's the best course of action, whilst Brook realizes the power of a Yonko soul for the first time. He sees Big Mom riding on this Genki Dama, and he's like, yo, shit. And a Genki Dama, a spirit bomb. Big Mom's riding on a Prometheus-sized spirit, no, not Prometheus, a spirit bomb-sized Prometheus, and they're almost ready to destroy the Straw Hat crew once and for all. Only Big Mom smells something in the distance, and she's like, what's this wonderful aroma? So shit's about to go down. We see Beige's ship in the distance, right on the horizon, and Nami's like, wait a second. So maybe if the Straw Hats can actually survive the next literal about an hour or so, they'll be in contact with, probably not even an hour, probably less than that, they'll be in contact with Sanji, and they'll have their asses saved. So we'll see how this goes down. Shit's gonna go down very soon, but we're on break, so, you know, cry your tears and we'll dry them off before we get to the next chapter. So yeah, I really enjoyed this chapter. It was about a 4.5 out of 5. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comments are always appreciated. I'd love to know what you guys think about the chapter and your thoughts on what's going to go down. And share the video if you feel like anything in this video is worth sharing, and I'll just be happy about it. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.